All right, guys, last segment, and we're going to wrap this on up. I quote these guys a lot and usually steer toward their YouTube channel. Talk about the folks that are on the show, and I talk about the shows themselves. Rarely do I ever really access their website, and definitely rarely do I ever use them as a resource. But I kind of keep forgetting about their website, and that's Geeks and Gamers. I've mentioned them multiple times, and I always, when I do, I always try to put links to everybody I mentioned down in the show notes below. Some other guys that are up and coming that I watch, Talking Nerds, they do a fantastic job covering, again, games are not my thing anymore, really, but they cover a lot of that, but they cover a lot of the same entertainment stuff. And in fact, they and I are talking about trying to hook up and do a show together before too long. And, maybe that'll work out. I know I mentioned another channel one time, maybe working out, and that didn't work out. In fact, I have not seen them do another episode in a long time. Not Talking Nerds, but the one I mentioned previously. So I hope I don't have like a curse that I put on them just now. But Geeks and Gamers is fantastic. Their live streams are great. All the folks they got working with them, the network that they've got built there, it's really just I won't say groundbreaking, but to see that kind of networking and see the community that they have revolving around them is really, really something to applaud. They've done some phenomenal stuff, absolutely phenomenal stuff, and really enjoy listening to those guys, all of them that chime in. So I'm going to look at the box office recap real quick for Deadpool and Wolverine. Did I say it right? Yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine is the name of it. I have not seen this movie yet. I'm planning on seeing it this weekend. I can't wait. I've heard nothing but good stuff. But before we get into it, let's roll that stinger for this segment. This is your box office recap. All right, so we're not going to waste a lot of time. We're going to go ahead and hit this one. Again, the links to all this stuff will be down in the show notes below. I think I'm going to read pretty much everything in this article. It's not super duper long. But again, this is Geeks and Gamers. Love these guys. Go show them some love on their channel. And they've got different contributors on there too, so go follow those guys. I follow several of them independently. And just really good stuff. Really good stuff. But it starts off. Deadpool and Wolverine breaks records and dominates the box office. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this. When I was growing up, getting home from school, I would get my little Dunkaroos, for those of you who remember those. I think I saw that Amazon still sells them, and some other places might too, but Dunkaroos and Sunny Delight. And I would sit down and start my homework after school, and I would turn on the X-Men animated series. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Loved it. I have been waiting so long to see this Wolverine. I've heard I won't be disappointed. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. Says the time has finally arrived for the introduction of Deadpool and Wolverine into the MCU, and it is shaping up to be quite an impressive debut for this rated R flick. Not only did the film open to 2024's best domestic, I got real country with that one, best domestic opening with roughly. Sound like Kamala Harris at a Atlanta rally, huh? Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Not only did the film open to 2024's best domestic opening with roughly $205 million, which easily beat Pixar's Inside Out 2, but it also made over $438 million worldwide, which is the best opening for a Disney property since Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which I did not see because I enjoyed the first Doctor Strange. I enjoyed the fact that there were no limitations on what you could do with Doctor Strange. I went back and I watched everything up through Endgame. Because when I saw Endgame, I hadn't seen everything yet. So I went back through and I watched everything. Really enjoyed it all. Everything I heard is that Doctor Strange Mom, as some people called it, has very little to do with Doctor Strange. It's not a continuation of the Spider-Man movie. It's a continuation of WandaVision, which I kind of enjoyed WandaVision to a degree. Didn't love where they left it. Didn't love where they went off from it afterwards. And my understanding is that this movie was basically a Wanda movie inside of a Doctor Strange film, or a Wanda movie inside of a Doctor Strange title. How about that? So did not see it. And I think this article even mentions that there was a historic drop off for that film, which we probably won't be seeing from Deadpool and Wolverine, but I'll continue because I think we're getting into that. So I may have just jumped the gun. I'm sorry. Let's see. Blah, 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 business, blah, blah, Disney. Mom from back in 2022, which opened to $450 million globally, while Mom saw a historic week 2 drop off and saw massive decreases every week after. The word of mouth for Deadpool and Wolverine seems to be indicating that will hold well, not only for a $200 million budgeted Marvel film, but even for an R-rated film, which has a much more limited audience. Based on this opening, I can easily project that this film will be flying towards $1 billion in 3 weeks or less, based on my calculations. Remember that most movies make about 30 to 33% of their entire global box office during their opening weekend on average. That holds for this movie. It will likely make about $1.2 billion if it has an average box office run, and so far there has been nothing average about this release. Though the far more accessible Inside Out 2 will likely have a larger total and take the biggest movie of the year title at the box office, Deadpool and Wolverine will easily be in the top 3 and still has a chance to make quite a bit more. The sky's the limit for this film, and where it ends up will only become clearer next week when we see just how much the numbers drop, and if this movie seems to have any legs. According to Tony over at Deadline, hey, we just read some Deadline stuff. Just like for Inside Out 2, we are seeing massive walk-up numbers from the Hispanic community for this film. It appears they made up about 35% of all tickets sold for the Thursday premiere, which, if we recall, saw an incredibly impressive $38.5 million debut. What is fascinating about the numbers for Deadpool and Wolverine is that though this is an R-rated film and is objectively facing audience limitations because of that, it is still somehow performing similarly to a PG-13 movie and is impressive not only when put up against other R-rated films, but even some major PG-13 releases. Whether you like the movie or not, and the vast majority coming out of the theater are enjoying it quite a bit, no one can deny just how impressive its performance has been. There is no doubt that the aggressive marketing campaign that started months ago, I would say years ago, and the release of an actual entertaining product are the key factors that have led to this film's success. All right, so that's it. I'm not going to go into any more on that one. Everything said there was correct, especially this closing part here. I mean, make some great marketing stuff. Some great ads, trailers, promotions, stuff like that. Create a great product first and foremost. People will come and see it. I mean, that's kind of the way it's always worked, right? But then you start seeing these great trailers coming out from Marvel, and you go and see the film and you're so disappointed. You're so deflated and defeated. Like, it's hard to buy into whether it's good or not. And these guys have been working overtime to make a great film, so I have no doubt. I mean, the Deadpool films have been great. Man, I mean, you gotta love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. And I'll say, as someone who was a fan of the comics, or the animated series originally, and then I do have a couple of comics, you know, Hugh Jackman doesn't exactly fit the bill for Wolverine, for the aesthetics and stuff that you would think, especially back in the early days when he was first casted in it. But damn, he's done such a good job. Right now, it's hard to see anybody else as Wolverine. Speaking of seeing anybody else, one of the things I'm super excited about seeing is my boy right here, Tyler Mane. First of all, when I saw him in the first X-Men, I was like, dude, that's Sabretooth. I'm so excited because those were the coolest battles and interactions in the entire animated series to me. Look, I loved Gambit. I thought, you know, Jubilee, all them folks, I thought everybody was fine. Rogue, you know, Beast, whatever. Great, awesome. But Sabretooth and Wolverine had by far the best chemistry, probably in the comics too, but on screen for sure. In the animated series, and I loved it. I saw Tyler Mane, and I was like, yes. Tyler, who was also in some of Rob Zombie's projects, which, you know, thumbs up on that. And then they replaced him with Lee Schreiber, who is not a bad actor at all. I think he's just fine. I think he's a fine actor. A buddy of mine can't stand him, but we all have actors like that. I won't say mine because you guys will be in the comments just ripping me a new one. But I do like Lee Schreiber. I think he's perfectly fine. But I thought that was a super huge downgrade for Sabretooth. Now, as far as in the acting world goes, he may be significantly better than Tyler Mane. But as far as looking like Sabretooth that I'm familiar with, no. Tyler had it. And I just recently, when I was kind of just getting ready for all this, was looking it up. And they did say why. And apparently it's because, if you don't know, when they did the X-Men origin stuff with Wolverine, they wanted someone who looked more like Wolverine because it's supposed to be his half-brother. Versus, I guess, how Tyler Mane looked nothing like Wolverine. But if you look at the animated series, Tyler Mane, looks significantly more like Sabretooth. So I'm excited about this. Tyler Mane's a great actor from what I've known him in. I'm excited to see him on the screen again. I'm excited to see him as Sabretooth. I'm excited to see the great Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I'm excited about these two going to task at each other. And again, no hate to Lee Schreiber. No hate there. Just not my Sabretooth. Hashtag not my Sabretooth. Is that a thing?
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this clip from the Morning Mayhem. Remember, this is just a portion of the full show that comes out every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you hadn't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the full shows or these tasty little nuggets.